sick.
Good evening. How are you?
How do
Oh, well,
we are here?
once is good.
You are there with Allan sick.
Right. Well, I don't know what happened there, but there you are. You got two lots of squeaky voice. Whether we're getting the unified jingle, I've no idea. Who cares? Let's get on. We mentioned last week, you might recall, Lonnie Donegan's "My Old Man's a Dustman," and particularly the line, "Why is my dustbin full of toadstools?" All together now. Because there's not mushroom inside. Exactly. I thank you. This week, I learned that mushrooms are going to be the new beauty treatment of 2023. Now, I eat loads of them in a variety of ways. I even eat them raw, with a good wash, obviously, because they grow them in crap. But I even eat them raw, so it's no wonder that I'm as pretty as I am, with skin like a baby's bum. At last, it's paid off. The ONS, the Office of National Statistics, reports that in the past 6 months, 2.5 million working days have been lost to strikes. Who you blame for that number of losses merely shows which side of the fence you're on. But there's no escaping what it says about industrial relations in the UK at the moment. They are absolutely awful. And as the queue at the doctors gets ever longer, the newspaper headline this week said, "Train more doctors or the crisis will never end." It's not wrong, but training them isn't enough. You need them to get a better working environment, and in the meantime, so they'll stay. And it takes ages anyway, and in the meantime, you need to let Johnny Foreigner in to come and doctor us, perhaps. Australia at the moment are over here, not all of them, thank God, but one or two are over here saying, "Come and be a doctor in Australia, it's a cracking life and the sun sometimes shines." Oh! Nicola Sturgeon shocked everybody with her forthcoming resignation from the leadership of the SNP and thus being the First Minister. After Salmon, we got Sturgeon, so if Mr Alec or Ms Kipper throw their hat in the ring, I suggest you put £1 on them. They'll be in with a good chance. And it's been the news, the first half of the news, it petered off late on, but it was all about balloons, wasn't it? With China saying, "Them balloons aren't ours, they're not ours, them balloons. No, they're not ours." And now the Americans, who were so certain they were, are now less certain. But being American, they're almost certainly going to shoot down any others that they find. And I know what you're thinking. I know. He's going to play Bang Bang by Cher, but he's not. You are wrong. Because I think there are an awful lot more balloons out there than have so far been spotted. Some of them might even be ours. Interesting. As to how many there are, I have no idea. It was a few years ago, there was a cartoon called, it was a French cartoon, it didn't matter, it was just music and just a young lass chasing a balloon that she'd let go, and it went all over Paris, I think it was. The Ballon Rouge. It was very good. A little bit of tinkly music and all of that, as I remember it, and yeah, it was quite quaint. We like quaint, don't we, from time to time? Yeah, not a lot, but from time to time it's all right. Anyway, let's get on. The telephone number, of course, is 0800 218 2255. You can talk about anything, and Allan will be taking your calls this evening, giving the details to our producer, Alec, who will then contact you as your turn comes up. And we do them virtually in order, unless somebody's not available or what have you. And he'll put you through to Luke in the studio, and then you'll talk to me. And I don't know anything about what you're going to say. All I know is the name that you are using. And you can use any name you like, really, as long as you give the real one to Marlon and Talet. You can use a pseudonym if you wish. Anyway, let's get on. 0800 218 2255. How do, Fred?
Hey, Bagum lad, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
Well, these balloons, you know, I mean, everybody's spying on everybody else. All these spy organisations, MI5, CIA, Mossad, everybody's spying on people. Why don't they just get on with their own lives?
Well, because they want to know what the others are doing.
Yeah, but why do they want to know what the others are doing? I mean, the others are doing no harm to anybody else, unless they're doing harm to somebody else, in which case we need to stop them doing harm to somebody else.
Well, you have to first of all find out that they're going to. It's better, rather than wait until the harm has been done, it's surely better to know that's what they're plotting, isn't it?
There's a lot of conspiracy theories going around, Alan. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. Well, I was down in the Fettler's Arms the other day, and we'd all had a good day fettling. We'd all been polishing our metal and fettling, and we all had a fettling good conversation. And we said, well, you know, what's the problem? Because we've had a good day fettling, and everybody needs to just get on and fettle on with their lives.
Indeed. But what happens if the others don't and you don't know?
Well, I mean, the guy that wants to blow the other fella up just because he's got a difference of opinion, he's got a problem, and that's the problem.
Well, he may well have a problem, but if we don't know he's coming to blow up, then we've got one. It's called being dead.
By gum, lads. That's a right. I don't know what to say about that, because...
That surprises me not one jot.
Aye. So anyway, at Fettler's, what did you get for Mrs. Beswick for your Valentine's Day gift?
I'm not telling you.
Well, I got over for me lass in Accrington, and she hit me over the head with it. She said I wanted something posh and something nice. She said I wanted a nice dress and a bit of perfume, and I bought her an Hoover. I mean, how ungrateful is that, lad?
I'm not sure that it's ungrateful. Perhaps you were being ungrateful.
I was being inconsiderate, and I knew that. When I went down to Fettler's Arms and had a chat with the lad, they said, you should have bought her somewhat nice, lad, instead of a blooming Hoover.
Indeed.
And the lads down in the Fettler's Arms, they know how to talk to people. Because after you've had a good day fettling down in the Fettler's Arms...
I think I'm going to stop now, because you've probably got about 15 pints lined up after all the time you mentioned that pub. How do Lindsay?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you started me off. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why don't they build a bridge from Southport to Blackpool?
I suspect cost is an issue. It'd be very, very expensive.
But they build bridges everywhere else.
Yes, but usually they build them... I'm prepared to concede it's not always the case, but usually they build them where there are a lot of people wanting to make that particular journey, like the bridge over the Mersey to get from north to south, the bridge over the Humber. But how many people do you think there are who wish to drive from Southport to Morecambe or Blackpool?
Blackpool on the front.
No, I know where Blackpool is, and I know something of its shape, but how many people do you think want to do that? Yeah.
I've been into football for ages, and it's only recently I've noticed that when they get a free kick, I'm laughing thinking about it, someone lies on the floor. What's the point of that?
So that they don't kick it through the protection line's legs.
So if they kick the ball, the free kick, and all the players jump up, they're going to stand on the player on the floor?
Well, that's just hard look, that. But the objective is to stop the ball arriving at the net, and when they kick, sometimes some players will jump up in the hope that they can head it, and he kicks it along the floor, so it goes in.
I think it's dangerous.
Well, it is dangerous, but, nobody's forcing them to.
Well, I wouldn't do it if I was a professional.
No.
Well, I can't be, because I'm female.
Well, there are female professionals now.
Oh, yeah, there are, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Thanks for your information.
It's okay.
Bye.
How do Louisiana?
Good evening, Allan. It is Louisiana here. How are you this evening?
I'm awfully well, thank you.
Good, good. Allan, I want to be incredibly brave tonight, and I want to talk to you about a subject that I suspect might not have been discussed by any of your callers before. But actually, before I do so, would you mind if I asked you a little bit about your departure in May?
Well, I don't know when my departure will be, but at some point I will be gone.
Okay. Can I just ask you, if the BBC were to renew your contract and pay you double, would you accept?
Well, they wouldn't have to. And it depends what they were renewing my contract to do. So
To do exactly the same as you're doing now?
Well, I can't imagine that they would say, would you like to carry on doing what you're doing and we'll pay you double?
But I suppose what I'm trying to say is, would you stay? Is there any way, if somebody offered you, even if it was commercial radio, would you continue, or would you like to retire?
I think I've no desire to retire, he said poetically. I think it's very, very unlikely that I would accept a contract with a commercial station, but I don't know. It's wise to never say never. And the only thing that's happening on the 31st of May is my current contract expires. What I don't know is whether that contract will be renewed in some other form. I don't really think about that much.
Okay. Well, okay. So listen, the reason why I've called in, and as I say, I feel brave talking about this tonight, and my heart is slightly beating a little bit. I want to talk to you about the menopause. Like many people, I found it unbelievable this week that the police disclosed such personal information about the woman who is still missing. Quite unbelievable. Obviously sexist and thoughtless. I couldn't believe that she could be labelled in that way. But I'd like to chat to you about my experience of the menopause and my views and experiences. As I say, it can be viewed as something taboo, something shameful, and that's maybe why women don't talk about it, and maybe why men don't talk about it as well. Women can be marginalised, particularly at work. I know it's happened to me. We might be considered as if we've gone beyond our use-by date. I suppose that could be because of fertility issues, or it could be because women are not thought as being, they can't contribute to society as they once would have done. I hope you'll agree, Allan, that is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous whether the reason that the stupidity is hung on is menopause or otherwise. Women can and do contribute to our society magnificently.
Some women have few, if any, menopausal symptoms. I'm saying this because I don't want younger women who might be listening to this programme, or indeed women who are currently going through the menopause, to have a fierce sort of story, I can't think of the right word, but be fearful of the menopause. I have a couple of friends that have not experienced anything at all, or virtually nothing. But then there are those who have symptoms, and these symptoms can really affect their lives. Now, the first day when I thought to myself, hey, I've got to do something about this, was when I was driving on my own on a motorway. I'd had a few sort of hot flushes and a few brain fog days over, I'd say, about a year or so. But then one day I was on, are they called, see, I'm having maybe a bit of brain fog now, are they called smart motorways, Allan?
Well, some of them are, yes. The ones that don't have they don't have a hard shoulder, or at least the hard shoulder is sometimes used as a running lane, but yes, smart motorways are the ones that have all the computer gantries with information on them. Well,
I was on a smart motorway on my own, I suddenly found myself drenched in sweat and my heart was racing. I was really, really shaking. I suppose I was having my first real panic attack. It is something I had never, ever experienced before. I wanted to cry, which is most unlike me. I'm not sort of a cry woman. I'm usually quite a strong woman. I like to think I am anyway. I suddenly understood what the term white knuckle ride meant. I was really, really scared. I was clutching the steering wheel so hard that my knuckles went white. As I say, unfortunately, I was driving on one of those smart motorways with no hard shoulder. It was absolutely awful. It was possibly one of the scariest things I've ever had happen to me in my life. I had no choice but to get in the slow lane with my heart racing. And I drove probably at about maybe 10 miles an hour for what seemed an age, possibly 20 minutes or so until I got to the next exit. Once I got off the motorway, I found somewhere safe to park and I calmed myself down. It took about an hour maybe before I felt able to drive again, but I did it. I took the scenic route, not the motorway though, to get home. I was determined, probably stupidly, not to phone my husband, not to phone anyone for help, because I'm not that sort of woman. But that said, I kept myself safe. I was not silly. I only drove when I regained my confidence, which probably did take an hour or so. So a week or so later, following a blood test, it was confirmed that I was going through the menopause. I'm not the sort of person that likes to take medication. I tried for quite a few months just to put up with the symptoms, but the night sweats in particular, and the fact that I lost my confidence at work, most notably, resulted in me doing a bit of internet research. Let me reiterate, Allan, I have never been one to take medicine. If I'm ill, it takes an awful lot for me to take a paracetamol. So I dabbled with the herbal remedies, but all to no avail. I went back to the doctor who prescribed HRT for me. From that day forward, Allan, my life has been transformed. I want to turn this not into a moan story, but into a positive story. Whilst I cannot speak on behalf of other women, HRT for me, in particular something called body identical HRT, has been incredible. This is approved by obviously the NHS and NICE and so on. But what worries me is that about 20 years ago, women were scared by academics and the media into thinking that HRT creates health risk and that it could possibly cause breast cancer and other things. HRT, I don't think, should be seen as being scary because it can save so much distress in women's lives. I'm going to quote from something, if I can just find it. I'm going to quote, if you don't mind me doing this, from the WHI, which is the Women's Health Initiative. It's what many NHS consultants and GPs cite, and NICE do too. Let me just have a look. They say that women who take HRT have a lower risk of developing several common diseases such as heart disease, osteoporosis, dementia, diabetes, and bowel cancer. In short, HRT is not bad for women, but it is good for women. And a little Google search in which you make sure maybe you use the words NHS so that you know it's going to be legit will confirm this to you as it did to me. So it saddens me that many women have not heard about the updated research, so they might not realise the benefits of HRT. They might just remember those bad scare stories of however long ago, I think it was about 20 years ago. This means there are many women suffering needlessly. For me, HRT, and as I say, in particular, the body identical HRT has been a wonder drug. My confidence has resumed. The hot flushes have all but ceased. And then, incredibly, Allan, things like aches that I used to have also all but gone. I've got more energy. I feel happier. And it's really, really worked for me. And I suppose I just want to encourage other women. I mean, I don't want to encourage other women. I want them to encourage them. I want to encourage them and men to understand what women are going through and how their lives could be transformed. I'm not saying that every woman is going to be like me.
It is good that you are encouraging women who need to take the right medication if it is suitable for them. Clearly there are, as there are with all medicines, there is always the risk of your body not accepting it, not liking it, and all sorts of other side effects. That's a matter for a doctor, not me. And
absolutely. And that happened to me as well. It took a couple of different types of HRT.
So it's as well to say when you first go to the doctor, they may not provide an instant solution, but the doctor's the place to go. And yes, men could do with learning how to be decent with women anyway. But that's
I know. I mean,
that's
when
a
I
long
think
shot.
about when I think about my four mothers and how they had to cope without HRT, I feel very uncomfortable. I remember when I was younger.
Well, the great problem is the human being was designed to be dead by then. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And we've extended life. What we haven't. Yeah. Just look back in history and you will see the age at which human beings died. Like all sorts of other creatures, we die when we cease to be fertile. And we don't now because we've been clever enough to extend it. But it is not always the case that turns out to be the best thing possible. But anyway, there we are. So you've told women that it's a cracking idea to go and find out at least. Good to hear from you, Louisiana. Thank you very much. How do Shafik?
Allan, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well.
Yeah, I like to talk about the war in Ukraine. President Putin, any president need to become president, he need to be graduate or educated all the subject. He must be new about the constitution. He must be new about the law. He must be new about the legal. And last year, enforcers die without any reason. What he make, he try to himself. Putin I've seen in the last 25 years, Putin is now the president. He's not come to the Russia king or any multi-millionaire. He not messenger in it. UN Security Council is a 5 permanent member. One side is a 3 member, another 2 sides. They to each other. What successful? Nothing successful. If any God messenger, Jesus Christ in present time, is a Saudi Arab, Holy Mosque is a Makkah. The mosque not better to Jesus Christ.
Right, we've gone off Ukraine now and on to Saudi Arabia, which is kind of quite a geographic leap. So thank you for that. How do Keith?
Hello, Skip House. Have you seen that on the news?
Give me more detail.
Right. House in London, either side, £1 million house, right? So he's got permission, this fella, he's got permission on a spare piece of land between these two houses, put a skip and live in it. And he's converted the skip sort of like a gypsy-type caravan.
Well, you could just say caravan. You don't need to use the other word, do you? Just like a caravan.
No, right. So you have to get up in the ladder because there's no door at the bottom of the skip, of course.
Well, how would a ladder help you if there's no door?
Well, you climb up till you get to the edge of the skip.
Right. How high up is it?
And then you climb into the skip.
Without a door?
Well, there is a door.
There is a door.
Above the metal bit
the
of the skip. So it's built a body. He's built a body on top of the skip. So it's sort of curved.
He's built a body, did you say?
Yes, a body. Well, not that sort of body. I mean,
I don't know what sort of body you mean. You just said a body. I'm now trying to find out what sort.
A building on top. Call it a shed on top.
Right. So he built a shed on top, not a body. Right. Okay.
Right. Yes. I knew I'd trip up. Anyway, it's £50 a month to hire the skip. and it's cost £4,000 to, with all the woodwork, to turn it in, and there's a portaloo outside, thank goodness, you know. Get the idea. Living off the sheep.
Well, indeed. And why not?
No, why not? Yeah.
Indeed, I seem to recall that one of the charities for the homeless, and I think it might have been in Oxford or Cambridge or somewhere, actually experimented by doing exactly that and having a block, for want of a better expression, of those kind of... They were more like the sort of business cabin than a skip, but piling them on top of one another, 3 or 4 high, like you see on major building sites, and having them all as one-bedroom flats and putting gantries up so that people could access them. And it seemed like a cracking idea at the time, and well done this chap, why not?
Right, so next bit, have you ever done the Russian ballet?
I don't know what you mean by done the Russian ballet.
Well, it's a dance.
I haven't danced the Russian ballet.
Right, well, I won't tell you how to do it, but basically, you have a woman either side. So if you were a young person, single and all the rest of it, you're actually dancing with 2 women together.
Right.
So you've got the choice of the 2, if you know what I mean, when you...
Well, I don't really do know what you mean. Dancing with a woman doesn't give you a choice, it gives you a dance, surely.
No, 2 women at the same time.
If you dance with 2 women, you still don't have a choice. You've still got 2 women.
Well, yes.
You've danced with them, and then the dance is over, and now you can go and do what you're going to do, the bar or whatever.
I know. So, right, last one tonight. Astroxenophobia is a fear of aliens from other planets.
Right.
That's made lot tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. Or the fear of nothing, I suppose. How do Chris?
Hello, Al. How does yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, I had a few things to talk about. But, you know your last caller, when he said the phrase gypsy caravan, I don't think he was being offensive. I think he just meant the old-style caravans where you... the horse-drawn ones where you walk up a little ladder in the back.
Indeed. And that is one way of describing them, but there are plenty of others, and I prefer all the others. Anyway.
I don't know what other way to describe that kind of caravan.
Horse-drawn caravan?
Possibly, but gypsy's not an offensive word.
Well, you don't think so, and that's fine, but some people of that part of our society don't like it being bandied about in that way.
Right, well, I didn't know that, but that wasn't the point that I rang in about. You know, you said earlier about mushrooms being used as beauty treatment.
Apparently that's what's going to happen this year.
Right, I know a bit about mycology. I've been on, like, mushroom walks. I sometimes forage for mushrooms for food. I haven't heard about this. Could you tell me any more about it?
No, I just got it out of a newspaper, and it said precisely that the fashion, the sort of cosmetic story of the year will be mushrooms.
Well, I don't. From what I do know about mushrooms, I think that's a very poor use for mushrooms, because they're a vital part of the ecosystem. Even eating wild mushrooms can be damaging to the environment, so that's why I don't pick that many. So I just hope it's sustainable, or that it just is a non-starter, to be honest.
Well, it may be both of those things. It may be a non-starter, and that's fine, or it may be sustainable. They maybe have whole sheds full of darkness with mushrooms growing in them that are going to use precisely for that purpose. Who knows?
And the other 2 things you mentioned were about the strikes and the lack of doctors. I do support all the strikes that are going on currently. You know what my views are about the economy and that. And the same thing applies to the lack of doctors in the NHS, because you can't just train a new doctor or nurse overnight. And you do get a lot of British doctors moving to the likes of Australia, and then we import doctors and nurses from elsewhere, but we're depriving the countries that they are from of doctors and nurses. And that is why my solution is to most problems, is to have a planned economy and to have doctors trained in our country by the state who work for a fully state-run NHS, which we don't currently have.
Well, it depends on how you define. Depends on how you define fully state-run. I mean, even in the days when Anara and Bevin started it, they didn't make their own beds or their own linen. So there are always private companies involved in the provision of the NHS.
I suppose so, but Nye Bevins...
It's a fact.
Yeah, I know. When I said I suppose so, I meant, yeah, you're right. I agree. But Nye Bevan's view of the NHS only lasted for about 5 years, and they brought in prescription charges so they could fund a war against socialism in Korea.
Right.
So we haven't really had Nye Bevan's NHS ever, unless you were alive for the first 5 years of it.
Well, I was.
Yeah, and was it good?
I don't know. I was a baby.
All right. But that's what I've learned from reading about the history of the NHS, and it's slowly gotten worse since then. And I do think that the only way forward is to have a completely planned economy.
As you have said many times, and we all know how stupid that turns out to be, but it's good to hear it.
Well, I don't...
I know you don't think it's stupid, but everybody else does. How do Ted?
All right, thank you. Just to say, Alan, you know this COVID-19?
I'm aware of it, yes.
Well, you know, remember the Black Plague? Well, it's in history, and it's going back to the 15th or 14th century, the Black
Indeed,
Plague.
I'm aware of that as well, yes.
Well, I think the COVID-19 and the Black Plague were germs from outer space that came down in the clouds and that. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know where these germs have come from. I'm perfectly happy for you to believe they've come from out of space.
Well, it's possible, isn't it?
Everything that's not impossible is possible. I prefer the word plausible. Is it plausible? And many people would say not, but it might be.
But my brother, Alan, he killed himself about a burn doctor. But anyway, yeah, he had ulcers, Alan, and he said to me, he said his heart was in his stomach. Now, ulcers are living entities. They thrive. You eat what you eat, and they live inside you. It's a living organism.
Right. But then our body comprises billions of living organisms. Billions and billions.
Well, do you think ulcers are like I said, living entities?
It depends on your definition of a living entity. I mean, I don't suppose many of them go to school unless they're taken there by the person that's carrying them. They're actually a bacteria, and bacterias are living things, which is why we can use stuff to kill them. So, in that sense, yes, they are living. But then, most of the things that keep us alive are living.
And they thrive on neighbours' sense, neighbours' stress, neighbours' people. They thrive on them and release whatever they're eating.
Well, they don't actually eat in that manner, but we'll accept that. It's a simple way of saying it. It's an infection.
So it is a living entity, a living organism that lives inside you and eating what you eat in it. It's like
Yes,
worms
it is.
in it. Worms.
Well, they're not like worms. They're a different entity, but they are living entities in that they are they are creatures, if you like, bacteria, but they don't have brains and things like that. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh God, it's Friday, they have fish tonight, I'm really looking forward to that. But yes, they live inside us, as do many other things. And without them, our bodies wouldn't work.
Well, if they're living entities, like you said, Alan, you said they've got no brains.
No, you said it. You said it. They don't know what they're doing in terms of calculating it. They react to the circumstance in which they find themselves in a way that is preordained by their structure. But they don't actually sit there think.
They just thrive, like, don't they thrive?
Well, they don't necessarily thrive. Most people never even encounter one. I've never had one. How many have you had?
I've never had one, but I know people that have had them, like.
Well, so do I. I know people who got run over, but I wouldn't say that getting run over is thriving.
Well, you must have brains, Alan, to eat what we're eating them.
Well, no, they don't have brains, but if you want to believe they have brains, that's fine. But next time you go to a school, try and count the ulcers, see how many of them they're feeding their brain. Have a good night. How do Tony?
Hi, Alan, you okay?
I'm very well, thank you.
We were talking last week about cameras to you.
Okay.
Well, you agreed with them or not, and you cut me short.
Well, I agree with cameras. We agree with cameras. We'd never have photographs of anybody without cameras.
No, I mean the CCTV and your privacy and all
right.
that.
Right, okay. Well, you need to narrow it down. We were talking about cameras. I thought, oh, blimey, I don't remember that. Was it an Olympia or was it a Kodak?
Yeah, it was CCTV, and you said you didn't agree with it in some circumstances where people might be having affairs and they sell it to the newspapers. That's where you shut me off. I'm not too bothered about that. The second point was...
And yet you've mentioned it 3 times. You want to get back to your point then, rather than counting how many times you...
What I was going to get on to is cameras on motorways.
Right.
Doing speeding. Number plates that are blacked out with mud and dirt. How do you catch them?
If they're completely blacked out, I guess they don't. But of course, if a police officer sees you in your motor vehicle with your number plate blacked out, he could stop you and charge you with a motoring offence.
Would it be cheaper than the speeding fine? I
have no idea.
Or is it just... I didn't know my number plate was dirty.
Well, I've no idea. It is a legal requirement that your number plate be legible, both front and back on a car. I don't think they have them on the front on motorcycles anymore. It's a legal requirement. It's a legal requirement that they be legible. And if you are stopped and it is not legible, there isn't a defence.
That's fine. How many people do you know that have been stopped?
I've not a clue.
I think there's a lot more stopped or fined for having a clean number plate and going through traffic.
I don't think they get fined for having a clean number plate. I think they get fined for breaking the speed limit. And well, they should.
They get fined for having the speed limit, but if you've got a dirty number plate, they can't get fined.
Well, if you say so.
That's what I was going to get on to last week, by the way, Alan.
Right, well, I'm glad you got there in the end.
Second point, dogs in films. Do you know much about them?
No, my knowledge spreads no further than Rin Tin Tin.
There's one. What about Toto?
Oh, yes.
You remember that one?
Sort of. He was in the film with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, wasn't it?
That's the one.
I was in the Wizard of Oz. That's it. I was in the play. We didn't have a real dog.
Yeah.
Well, the pantomime, long time ago.
You know Santa's Little Helper?
I don't know what you mean by Santa's Little Helper.
That's the name of a dog in a TV programme.
Right, then no, I don't. No, I don't.
That's in The Simpsons.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
What
Was
about
that all right?
Bullseye?
Bullseye?
Bullseye.
Do you mean the television programme with Jim Bowen?
No, that's the name of a dog. It's from a...
Oh, is that the one in Oliver?
Yes, Oliver Twist.
Yeah, well, the film was called Oliver. I don't know whether... I don't think I've ever read the book. I don't know whether the dog appeared in the book.
What about Laughing Gravy?
What about what?
Laughing Gravy.
Laughing Gravy or Lapping?
Laughing. I mean, ha ha ha.
Ah, right. I've never heard of Laughing Gravy.
Well, it's a beer from Ulverston.
Oh, right. We've left dogs, have we?
No, it's a beer from Ulverston, where Stan Laurel was born.
Yes, I'm aware that he was born there, yes.
And the dog was called Laughing Gravy in one of the Laurel and Hardy films.
Right. Okay.
And go to my last one. I'm hoping some callers will come on with more. Nipper. You know Nipper?
Wasn't that the dog that found the World Cup?
No, that was Pickles, I think.
Right. All right.
Nipper was HMV.
Oh, the dog on their logo. Right.
On the gramophone, that's correct.
Hmm.
Right, you just brought one up there, Alan. I think it was called Pickles, the World Cup dog.
Right.
I can put it on the list.
Okay, feel free.
But if callers have got any more names for dogs, I'd like to hear.
Well, you're alone in that, and during this conversation, I've no idea. But there you go.
Oh, I'm on. Callers.
Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. Dogs in films. Ah, there's another one. Eddie. Well, he's not in a film, he's in Frasier, the comedy show. Yeah? Eddie. He's a very clever dog. He's dead now. In fact, they announced it on the news when Eddie, the dog, I don't know whether that was his name, but that was his name in the series. When Eddie the dog died, it was announced on television as like, and finally, in the news. Now, I guess that's kind of high up, innit, for a dog to get mentioned in the news, for crying out loud. There can't be many of them. They say every dog has his day, which may or may not be true. I've no idea. 0800 218 2255. Here's Lionel Richie. Years ago, you know, on the East Lancs, where the East Lancs and the M6 cross the race course, he did a gig at Haydock Park. Very strange. How do Michelle?
Hello there, Allan.
Hello.
The guy that was just on, he was naming about dogs in films. He forgot the most famous dog ever, which is Lassie.
Lassie.
And there was Beethoven.
Oh, that wasn't a film, though, was it? That wasn't that Bernie Winter's dog.
No, that was Snorbitch, I think.
All right, there you go. I'm not well up on dogs.
And then there was Pete in The Little Rascals. There was Shadow and Chance in Homeward Bound. But, you know, I'm not going to carry on because the list goes on. You know, and there's also soaps where you get Daisy, which was Marlon's, in Emmerdale, and Bouncer in Neighbours.
Right. I thought Marlon... Oh, I maybe got the wrong character, but... Oh, that's Neighbours, right. Yeah, well, there you go. Didn't one of the characters in EastEnders have a dog called Everard?
I don't think it's called that, but I know that one had one called a little pug, I think it was, called Little Willie or something.
Oh, yeah, the very first episode.
She used to carry it around.
Where's my little Willie?
Yeah. So that was quite funny when she used to come along with that line. Oh, well, there you go. But I just thought I'd come on
Well,
and
it wasn't
just say a
Everard.
few names for that guy.
Very good. It wasn't Everard, it was Wellard.
Willard. That's
Wellard,
it.
as
And
in
I'm
ad.
yeah, I just thought of another dog. Was it Rolo? That was in EastEnders, the big poodle one? That was
I don't know.
Dirty Den's dog, Mrs. Dog.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I have nothing to offer.
Well, you're not a lover of dogs anyway, so you're not going to be interested.
Indeed.
I bet you don't even watch the programmes anyway.
I very rarely watch those sorts of programmes. They don't have much fun. Well, you have to commit to them, don't you? I can't be doing with that. One of the things there are very few good things that came out of COVID, but one of the good ones that I stopped listening to the Archers because they tried to do it without the people being together, and it was bloody awful, and I stopped listening. And I haven't got started again, which is great. Because now I'm off the wheel, I don't have to worry about it or concern about it.
Yeah, it's like if you watch, I don't watch EastEnders, but if you watch Emmerdale and Kai Street, you miss one episode, it's like, well, what happened? And then you think, oh, well, I didn't watch that bit. So you have to catch up with the storyline.
Oh, better still,
I mean,
ignore.
Don't watch it at all.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Nah, can't do that.
Oh, well, to each, as they say, their own. It's not my cup
So
of tea.
women sit there with the knitting and watch it and everything and that, and, but sometimes the storylines can go on forever. You think, oh.
We mustn't get the idea that it's just women that watch it, I feel sure.
Oh, no, I'm not getting the idea. I'm not being sexist or anything. I know men watch it as well. So, but there you go. But I like, I don't know if you watch Michael McIntyre at all.
No. I'd rather watch my toenails grow.
Oh, I think he's brilliant on his big show that he does with the celebrities with Centaur. I think it's hilarious. So, the things he sends is very brave.
Well, he's not brave, is he?
Well, I suppose he's not, 'cause he's sending it from somebody else's phone.
Doesn't require any courage.
Well, I don't know. But there again, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, really. That guy with all the dogs. So I thought I'd just put my full penis in and say
Right, well, we are grateful for the list. I've forgotten them all.
But you have a good evening, my young
I'll
man.
do my best. Tatty bye. 0800 218 2255. How do Tom?
Good evening, Alan.
Good evening.
So I've also rung up as soon as we seem to be on the dog topic at the moment. Now, I mean, just touching on what Michelle said there about soap dogs, I think everybody must remember Schmeichel from Coronation Street, who was Chesney's dog. But anyway, I was going to... I've listened to you for many years, Alan, and I'm on the understanding that your love for dogs is quite the opposite, isn't it?
Well, it's not high.
No. So I've got the impression that you can't stand the things.
It's not I can't stand them. I can tolerate them. I just don't like them much.
All right. When I've listened to you over the years, I mean, you've come out with far worse statements than that on the dog topic.
Yeah, I'd happily bullet the lot of them, but you know.
Yeah, I think that's the phrase I was going to use actually that I had in my mind, but I didn't want to bring it up in case.
That's not
just
hate.
imagining
I
it.
just think they're not worth their existence in the main. I mean, you know, the dogs that guide people about help dogs and all that, farm dogs and all that, fantastic. Keep out in the country, out the way. But people having dogs as pets and taking them out for a walk so they can crap on the pavement, dear God. So they can carry it home, a nice warm turd. I'm just going out. I'll just go down to get a nice warm turd, for God's sake.
Yeah, I suppose when you put it like that, in a pet frame. So that's what I was going to kind of challenge you on. So with the earthquake, the devastating earthquake in Syria and Turkey, which is unbelievable to watch on the news, I couldn't quite believe it. But obviously you've got the rescue dogs who are, you know, saving lives, really, which are brilliant at what they do.
Absolutely.
What they've been taught to do. So that was going to be my question to you. Say you happened to be in Turkey or, strangely, Syria at the time and found yourself trapped under all that rubble. would that change you? And say you were rescued after many days.
I would be
by
perfectly
rescue
happy for
dog.
them to use a dog to try and find me so I could be saved, just like I'm perfectly happy for guide dogs for the blind, and I'm perfectly happy for all the other help dogs. I just don't like the idea of dogs as pet, because they're so damn dangerous and they're disgusting.
Right, okay. All right, well, that kind of makes sense. I thought you know, from listening to you, that you just had a outright hatred for all of them, but, well, like you said, not hatred, but dislike or pointlessness.
Well, I do dislike
them
them,
being pets.
but it's perfectly okay to dislike something whilst accepting that it has a use.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I dislike all the stabbings that are going on, but I don't hate knives.
Yeah, true. Oh, that kind of makes sense, yeah. Oh, well, that's all I wanted to mention.
All right. Well, it's a blessed
Thanks
release
for
that it makes sense to
elaborating,
you.
Alan.
It's all right. As long as it wasn't a Labradoring, that's okay. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. Just pick up your phone. You can talk about absolutely anything. And I say again, dogs that are trained to help humans, fine. And honestly, if you live in a big house out in the country and you want to have a dog that can crap in your yard and your property, fine. But after that, why would anybody have a dog? A, the danger it poses to visitors to your home, and I don't mean burglars, I mean people just coming round. And B, you have to take it outside and then you have to pick up its feces. Why would you want to do that? Good God. If somebody says to me, I've got a dog, I think, fancy. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. Pick up your phone. It's dead easy. You can talk about absolutely anything. We really don't mind, because we have no shame or pride. I talk a lot about what I read in the newspapers. I read in the newspapers this week that the Manfreds, which is a sort of Manfred Mann thing, the Manfreds are going back on tour. There's hardly any of them left. I mean, I don't even know that Manfred Mann, who they started out at, was the name of the bloke who played the keyboards and started the band out. But they did some good music in the 60s, like beads in a tube, and you shake them. You could hear it there. He used to have 4. He used to have 2 in each hand. They're quite big. He must have had big antlers. You never see them anymore. When did you not see maracas on stage in a group, a band? Oh, it's a great loss. 0800 218 2255. You want to join us, you can. I'll do Peter.
Hello, Alan. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. You're going on about the Archers earlier, and you said that you stopped listening to it when it presumably that was in COVID, was it, when they were doing the monologues?
Yes. It was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't good, was it?
No, it was awful.
But I did persevere and come back to it. And actually, the scripts more recently have been quite good. They've had a few decent storylines.
Right. Well, I'm glad to be off it.
Are you? Why is that, then?
Because it was a wheel. I don't like being committed to things that don't pay me.
No, well, true. But, I mean, with BBC Sounds, it's not too bad these days, because you're not fixed to listen to it at a particular time anymore, are you?
Yeah.
Even though there was an omnibus edition, you can please yourself, really.
I don't use BBC Sounds.
Do you not?
No. I
quite like it. The only thing is, it's a bit delayed, isn't it? Even if you're listening on live radio, I think you're about 45 seconds behind the FM broadcast, actually, which is weird.
45? That seems a lot.
45 seconds, yeah.
It's all weird. It's all about how much time it takes to do this and do that and do this and do that, which is why I often have to say to people, turn your radio down, because by the time it's gone from the transmitter and digitised and all the other palaver that goes on and gets them, it's about a second later. So
it is.
It's kind of
I think there's only FM is still live, isn't it? Just about. But I think all the others.
No, it's all live.
DAB is.
we're going out on DAB now, and we're live. It's just that by the time DAB gets it to
me, it's a few
rebroadcast.
seconds slow, isn't it? Yeah, that's right.
Well, yes, it's live, but it's not a simulcast by instant, as it were. It's not exactly the same time at broadcast. But that's that's how the world is. It's how
quite
it's always
like
been, really.
BBC Sounds if I've missed something, because it's there for 30 days, and I've got one of these little Bluetooth speakers now, and I found they're quite useful, and you can sort of catch up on things. If you hear of something that's good I sometimes listen to a program called Feedback on Radio 4, where people say, "Oh, I like such a play," and whatever, and I'll dip in and listen to that, and
I mean, when I say I don't use it, I have on my desk here one of those things, the name of which I won't say, and I listen to the radio on that, and so I am listening to BBC Sounds on that. But I don't use it, if you like, I missed that, I must go and find it and watch it. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know
I mean,
why.
if someone says something's good and they've played a little extract from it, and I quite like it, I'll sometimes make the effort and have a listen, or if there's somebody, a musical person I like, has done a session, and I mentioned to my friend.
It's a brilliant tool. It's not a tool that I use for some reason. I just don't. But
one thing I do like about it is, with transmissions through the airwaves, depending where you live, you can have distortion, you can have a bit of hiss and all that. I do find with the BBC Sounds, the sound quality is very good. Right. And even if I play my radio via the mobile phone through the hi-fi, it sounds pretty good, actually. You don't get much hiss and stuff on it, but as I say, you get this delay, which, if you're listening to something that's a repeat anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it? I suppose.
And presumably it's a better signal because it's digital. With digital, you tend to either have it or not. It's on or off. There's none of that.
But with sounds, it's coming through your Wi-Fi, so it's there all the time. It doesn't, even with digital... if you live in a poor, as you say, you either get it or you don't. But if
it's coming through your Wi-Fi, then it's digital because it's coming from your computer.
But what I mean is, unlike DAB through the airwaves, if the signal's not strong enough, you don't get it. But if you get Wi-Fi, you'll get it throughout the whole of England and Wales and wherever, won't you?
Right. Well, it's a cracking facility. I don't know why. I like the news quiz on BBC Radio 4.
Oh, I love, yeah.
Good it's on Friday night and...
About 6:30, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's on Saturday
repeated
afternoon.
on Saturday afternoon,
at 12:30.
12:25 or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And I usually get it, but if I don't bother going looking for it. I think, I missed it. Gone, doesn't matter.
So what about the iPlayer? Do you watch that, or do you watch live TV?
I watch live TV. I sometimes watch the iPlayer, not for things I've missed, but I'm afraid that I use a lot of, I don't suppose you call them box sets, but I don't like serials. I can't think of one at the moment, but something that's periodic.
So what do you do? Do you binge watch, or do you...
I download it and then watch them, not in the same day, but
when it's convenient to you.
When I'm sitting down to watch telly, I think, I'll watch that. Yeah. Right, no, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5. So I usually know what's happening.
I do that.
In fact, I got quite cross with Happy Valley.
Oh,
because
why?
you couldn't because it was only ever on time. You couldn't download the whole lot at the beginning.
Well, you can now. You can watch the whole lot now.
I've seen them all now.
Yeah.
Some of them, they say, is the first episode.
But they were good, weren't they?
Oh, they were brilliant. But some of them say, here's the first one. If you want to see all the others, then download them. But you couldn't do that.
Sometimes with the iPlayer, they give you all the series from the off, even though it's not being shown on telly, don't they? So I don't quite get that, because then it's a spoiler for all those people who you ruin it for, I suppose, if you're that way inclined. But I wouldn't do that. But yes, I do like the iPlayer, though, and I think... is it very shortly the BBC local programmes are going to be in HD for the first time in 12 years?
HD?
Coming up soon.
Yeah,
they've not been in high definition, have they? Northwestern
HD's telly, isn't it? I don't know I've no idea what's happening to Northwest tonight in terms of.
Well, it's been in standard definition since we went digital, whereas BBC Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland have had HD for their programmes, which is a bit weird. But Granada have broadcast Granada reports in HD since they switched. So I don't really understand why the BBC can't do that, but they haven't.
I'm sure they can, but I have no idea.
Because I think the trouble with the BBC is I think there's like 15 different or more regions, aren't there? So there's certainly a lot more BBC England regions than there are ITV ones. So they probably have to convert all the studios and everything to do HD, do they, before they can swap over? But it's been something like 12 years or something. Anyway, it's all going to happen this month, apparently.
Right, well, we can all look forward to that, can't we?
Absolutely.
Have a good night, Peter. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Glenn.
Hello, Allan. How you doing, all right?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I went to the Lindsay Hotel in Blackpool a few weeks ago. I got there on the train on my own. It was not raining. A lovely Sunday in Blackpool, and I had to walk up from to check the hotel. So when came to the hotel, the bar was open till 1 a.m. in the morning. I had a chippy tea, a chip shop near the hotel, 2 fish chips, a kind of Coca-Cola, which is quite cheap for 2 fish. And I also went to Burger King and a double cheeseburger and Coke. But I like Blackpool, and if it's not raining, but it can be a lonely place on your own, and you have to go on because nobody wants to come with me. It was Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, Tuesday. It's a very sad time here. I didn't get any Valentine's Day cards. And I spoke to you before on the radio. I can't get a girlfriend. And even though it's been broadcast over years on BBC Radio Manager, I still haven't got a girlfriend. And I have people coming up to the street is it Glenn? Because he heard me on the Allan Beswick radio show.
There you are.
Do you think in my life I'll ever meet the girl of my dreams?
I've no idea.
Next month.
I've no idea.
As you know, I'm a girl with a friend who I'm in no contact with now. She's made a complaint to the police about me and saying I've been upset in a witch. I haven't loved her, which I've always treated her okay. And the police know I've done nothing wrong, and they're laughing at me when they came to my house. And they said, just stay away from her. And she's cut me off from her in her life. And I've got good memories, Joe. And it's upsetting, Allan. It's upsetting, mate. You know where we're coming from? All them memories of 6 years being there. Now she won't speak to me. Yeah.
Well, that happens, Glenn. That's, mate, is the world. But have a good night. I'll do Ian.
Hello?
Hello, Ian.
Wow, that's amazing. I got through to you, mate. I just say I very much appreciate your live radio show. It's nice to hear a live radio show. I'm a FM. But the point I was like to bring up is regarding dogs. Dogs are if they're well trained, and as you say, they're designed, if they're designed to help people, save people, or sniff things out, and all that sort of things. There's the people who own them, who don't respect the areas they live, and they allow the dogs to poo on the pathways. And it's very important that people learn to pick up dog dirt, put it in the bin, because there's young children who get blinded by dog dirt on the streets. That's all I'd like to say, but I'd like to, it's the owners who need to take responsibility for the dogs.
The trouble is you can take responsibility for it. What you can't do is stop it being an animal that makes all its decisions with its teeth.
Yes, I agree. There's a lot of cases now, isn't there, where people say, that's what I'm saying, it's the owners, not the dogs.
Well, it's not. It isn't the owner, it's the dog. It's the dog that rips the kid apart, not the owner. Now, it's a failing on the owner's part often, but having a dog And letting it be near a child is like letting the child play with a loaded gun.
I agree with you.
So
What I'm saying is the dog should be trained in a position like...
No, the dog should not be there.
Oh, it shouldn't be anywhere near children. I was going to say...
So nobody with children should have a dog.
Dogs and cats are wild animals, basically. So you have to treat them as wild animals. Because they can harm anybody.
Well, I don't know that cats do much harm, but there you are. I don't remember the last time I read a story, which I can read every week in the newspaper, about a dog savaging somebody. You rarely hear about a pack of cats savaging somebody, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, dogs are dangerous things, and you are correct that those who choose to have them, you don't agree with me, that they're making a wrong choice, but if you do choose to have them, then you've got to look after them and keep them away from your kids.
I think they should bring back the dog licence.
Well, that won't change anything. What will that change?
We'll stop people just getting dogs straight away.
No, it won't. You get people who pay £1,000 for a dog and still treat it badly. So having a dog licence for 500 quid won't make any difference at all.
No, they have to have training with it. If you're a farmer and you have sheep, you have a dog, don't you? You train a dog, and the dog sleeps outside. Doesn't sleep at home, sleeps outside. That's how...
Right. I've no idea whether that's true or not. I've no way of checking that.
But that's what farmers do. You never...
I've no idea. You're saying that. I have no way of checking whether that's true or not. You've said it, and I've got no reason to disbelieve it.
So, are you an internet person, are you?
Well, I don't know what you mean by am I an internet person?
Well, that means that people see, this day and age, people seem to get all their information off the internet, and it's a load of...
Right. Well, there you go.
No, it is. If you don't actually have the human experience of dealing with things, if you aren't actually there and experience things, it doesn't make any difference how many books you read or what internet you go on. You don't have that personal experience about it.
Well, fine.
Anyway,
right. Fine.
No. I'll just say I enjoy your show, and
good.
Good for you. I have a few laughs when some people have phoned up. I hope some people are laughing at me, probably now, but sound.
Have a good night, Ian. How do Gavin?
Hello, Aaron. Allan. Sorry. I'm just nervous, really. I personally listen to your show quite a lot, actually, and I've actually followed it for quite a while, seen a lot of your exploits, shall we say, and I thought I'd bring this up to you. It feels like more of a warning, but I wouldn't be too worried. I'd consider it more of a discussion. Are you too familiar with cancel culture?
I'm aware of cancel culture.
Yes, I'm sure you probably have an opinion on it as well, don't you?
Depends, but go on.
Oh, I see. So, do you think in some circumstances that people on their past decisions or statements, they should have their, jobs or etc. or reputations ruined in the present?
Well, cancel culture isn't of that. That's not what cancel culture is. As I understand it, cancel culture is when somebody is, for example, speaking at a forum of some sort, and people get the people who are organising the forum to ban them and not let them speak. And that's cancel culture, as I understand it.
Oh, do you know if there's a term for what I'm...
I'm just going with the term you used for that.
As I understand it, how this relates is, as I said, I personally am quite a fan, I think, of you, celebrity, in my opinion. But some people I know, they're not being very pleased. They're doing some digging. They haven't got much context. But they don't really like, some of the things you might have said in the past. You know, you've been doing this show for quite a while. But, I mean, people can take things a lot of different ways. Like even the dogs, they might not like that. You know,
I don't worry about whether people like what I say or not. I don't give it any thought.
Well, I don't know. Alan, these guys can find your house.
Fine.
What happens then, now, is the real question.
I've no idea. Listen, I used to say horrible things about the IRA to such an extent that I used to check my car before I got into it.
Did they cancel you?
I don't know what you mean by cancel. I'm still alive. They didn't blow me up.
Okay, that's good then. Did they ever send any threats?
I've had lots of threats from various different organisations and don't care.
This is before the cyber age, so I think a lot more people would have access to...
They can't get to me on the cyber because I don't do social media because it's stupid.
I'll just... well, if you're not too worried, then that's fine then. But I just mean to... I'd sort of consider this sort of a, verbal, as they say, warning. Not from me, of course. They might consider...
Gavin, you need to be very, very careful what you say next. Because some people, including the authorities, not me, because I don't give a fig, but somebody, including the authorities, may think you've just threatened somebody, and that's an offence.
Oh, right. Right. Harold is on mute now. Track the call.
I'll do to Susan.
Oh, hi there, Alan.
Hi.
Yeah, I haven't rung for a while, but I thought this has been on my mind for a little while about the badger culling that went on a few years ago. I lived near Nantwich, and we used to have a lot of badgers where I lived, and then they eventually, what with the new houses going up and the busy roads, I don't get to see a badger anymore. But I was just wondering whether you think, I know it was all about, originally they said it was about TB in cattle that they were culling the badgers. Do you think that was the main, theory behind it, or do you think that perhaps they were culling the badgers so that they could put houses up without any obstruction?
That's weird, because the ability is the wrong word, the permission to cull badgers was given by the government because it's a criminal offence to kill badgers.
Yeah.
So the chances of it being a process whereby the government would get all the badgers killed so that people could build, well, no. The government can give planning permission if it chooses. And often where there are rare species and somebody wants to build something, then they are required to move those things before the building can start. So I don't think it was a sneaky government plot to allow building in the location of badger sets.
It's just you don't hear nothing about it anymore. I mean,
it's not a story anymore, is it? It's kind of had its day. And I think, I'll have to check, but I think it was suspended. Because some statistics came out, published. I mean, statistics are rarely published, as it were, by impartial bodies, and therefore often have to be checked against reality. But there was a suggestion that in the areas where badger culling has been permitted, it's not made a fig of difference to the amount of bovine tuberculosis.
No, well, that was my idea, really. Nothing's been said about it, really. I mean, I just, would have thought after, it was such a sad thing, to kill all those badgers. Has any good come from it? I just didn't know, why it's all gone so quiet, whether they're just putting it under the carpet, you know, because...
Well, I don't think things go quiet because the news moves on. The news caravan
that's why I brought it
moves
up,
on.
because I thought, why doesn't somebody bring it up? Have you ever had anyone on the programme mention it?
Not recently, but in the early days we did, yes.
Yeah. How was it in Wales? Did they cull badgers in Wales?
I've no idea.
No. I suspect they probably didn't. I think Wales tends to get away with quite a lot of things. You know, they seem as though they've got their, you know, do they put asylum seekers in place in hotels in Wales, for instance?
Well, asylum seekers, I think, is a UK government matter, and there are asylum seekers in hotels in Wales, as far as I understand it. I don't know of any. But
I don't either. That's what I was just wondering whether you did know. It's just, I think Wales might be the place that we're all going to come and live.
Well, I hope you don't.
Somewhere like that, you know. Like I say, I live on the outskirts of Nantwich, and we've had road works, and we've had new roads built over by Leighton Hospital, and the traffic on the main road where I live has been horrendous for months now, and it's really just a village, and it's been horrendous. But we did have badgers, as I say, up by Rees College, and they've sadly gone. And foxes, of course. I mean, I don't. You know, I had chickens taken, but I don't. I'm an animal lover, so I mean, I do miss not having a few foxes about. Just one more thing before I go. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Big Issue. I've got a lovely lady that sells the Big Issue, and I always buy one when I can. But the thing is, it's gone up to £4 for a magazine now, and she's really struggling with that price, you know. She stands there for hours and hours and hours, and she's done it for such a long time now, and I've got to know her. But by the time I paid my car park fee, and then I just can't afford to buy a Big Issue every time I see her, and I feel so bad about it because, you know, she stands there and she sees me. So I sometimes have to try and avoid it because I don't like to sort of not buy one. And I said, you know, about the price, and she said, yes, she said it's a real struggle that people, when they know how much it costs, then, you know, they just don't buy one then. You know,
I understand that, but the Big Issue, I'm no longer involved with it. I was for a long time, but I'm not anymore. But the Big Issue, the principle is that the vendor buys the Big Issue off the Big Issue organisation for half the cover price of the magazine. So your friend, if you're telling me it's £4 now, it doesn't surprise me, will pay £2 for it, and then they sell it for £4, and the profit is theirs. Now, the magazine has to be produced, and it has to have journalism.
It's a nice magazine. It is. It's lovely. It's made nice. It's got, you know, the paper's nice, and the competition's good in the back. But
it costs money, and
but
so
it costs money. But,
but the Big Issue, I can only speak of about 3 years ago, when I was still involved. But the Big Issue didn't make a profit for the Big Issue organisation. No. And because you can never not make a profit, you know, if you make £1 on £1 million, you've made a profit. But any profits it did make, and it was designed not to, but any profits it did make went into its social work, as it were. So nobody walked away with the profit. But producing magazines is very, very expensive, which is why there are so many magazines that have failed.
Yeah, I just feel like she's being exploited a little bit, you know.
How is she being exploited?
Well, I just feel that she's standing there. She's conscientious. She doesn't sit down. She stands there. She has to lean. She's got a post next to where she stands, so she can. I've seen her today.
She's not an employee. She's working on her own behalf.
I know, but she's become. She sees it as a job. She sees it as a job. I mean,
that's perfectly fine. And
I know, but I mean, a lot of people. I know it is good. It is good, but I just feel some days, you know, I just see her and I know she's not feeling very well, or, you know, and yet she is conscientious. And I think what a hard job she's got to try and sell those magazines, because, you know, it does upset me to feel like that, you know. I think.
Indeed. But the position she's ended up in is, if it wasn't for the big issue, she would have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I always say, you know, she stands up, and there's started to be quite a few people now that sit down and beg in the square.
She's not begging, she's working.
She's not begging. No, and I say, I'm not going to give to you because I'm going to buy a magazine. Because look, she's standing up, she's doing a job. And I say that to these, you know, the ones that are sitting down. I say that to them. But yeah, I applaud her for what she's done and for how long she's done it. Yeah. Anyway, one more thing.
I can tell you that it can take, and this may disturb many people, it can take 5 years to get somebody who is on the street, off the street, in a regular home of theirs.
I think she must have a home because I know she's got children.
Well, she may well have somewhere to rest her head. I'm just saying. I mean, I've no desire.
Yeah, but I know there's
no desire. No desire to discuss her position. Because we don't have the right to discuss her in any detail.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, I know, but I know she's not homeless, so I would feel, you know, it's just I've got to know her. I do call her. I give her a hug. You know, we give each other a hug when we see each other, so we have become friends.
Right, good.
Can I just say one more dog, Snowy from Tintin?
Okay. Thank you. As soon as you've done that, I'll give you some news that you may be interested in. Okay. And it's just from the 18th of November 2021, and it was on the Badger Trust website, and it says, the Badger Trust welcomes the end of selective badger cull in Wales. So there you are. Sounds like
in Wales.
In Wales.
Oh wow!
I'm not saying it's not stopped anywhere else, but you asked me if they did it in Wales.
Yeah,
and that's the answer. And that's the answer.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you.
Right, Susan. Have a good night. I'll do Jacqueline.
Good evening, Alan. Badgers in Wales. What they do is they catch them, inoculate them or whatever it is with a TB jab, and let them go.
Right.
And then they can't pass it on then. And then, of course, that probably goes for their youngsters and whatever it is. And that's how they do it. But not really a law unto ourselves in Wales. But that's what they do. They catch them, give them the jab, and let them go.
Right.
And anybody who knows about badgers will know Brian May. He's a great one for badgers. Brian May from Queen.
Yes, Sir Brian May is indeed a great lover of animals.
Or whatever you call it. He's hot on it, on the badgers. But it is easier to give them the jab, and catch them, give them the jab and let them go, isn't it? Rather than kill them all. Because they're beautiful creatures, aren't they?
I don't think it's easier. I think catching them and then giving them an injection is not as easy as just killing them. It may be better, that's for others to say.
No, they set traps for them.
Well, indeed, but it's not easier.
You know, these wire
things.
I'm
aware. I know what a trap is, and I know how a trap works. I'm just saying it's not easier.
Well, they're managing it in Wales anyway.
Well, I'm not suggesting they're not. It was when you said it was easier. It might be better. It's certainly better for the badger. Yeah. But that's easier. Nicer. Nicer as well. But you didn't say nicer. You said easier.
But anyway, that's what they're doing in Wales.
Excellent.
So let that lady put her mind at rest. How we are unlawless in Wales. Okay then.
Right, good night. I saw 2 badgers. You don't often see them. I saw 2 dead at the side of the road on the A55 yesterday, I think it was. Just driving along, and there at the side of the road was a dead badger. And then I went a bit further, there was another one. And I thought, that's awful. 0800 218 2255. How do Ted?
Well, it's on, kids. Just to say, you know, Star Wars, the film, when the first one that came out, the first one, when me and my brother went to see it, and you know, the Death Star, it's all glass. It's a sphere that's round. Now I seen in the heavens above a square box out that was black. And you know, Close Encounters was a film that to show to the people for prosperity that we have contact.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. How do Chris?
Well, I spoke to you earlier, but I just rang back in because you were talking about dogs and kids. I think you're correct to say that you shouldn't own a dog if you don't know how to handle the dog.
I didn't say that.
Did you not? All right. Well, I do think that you shouldn't own a dog or a car or a gun unless you know how to use it properly. And if it's around children, you should make sure that the child knows how to act appropriately around it, whether it's a dog or a car or a gun. It is just people, a lot of people just think they can buy something or some animal, but that's not a thing. It's a living creature, and just have it. And I think that's wrong, and it does cause a lot of damage to society.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. We're here until 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 25 to midnight, so I guess we're about halfway through, which is near enough for me in a guesstimate. But 0800 218 2255. You can talk about absolutely anything. We really don't mind. And yeah, that's it really. I was trying to think of something more interesting way of describe it, but there isn't one. That's just how it is. 0800 218 2255. And if you want to join us, good. If you don't, that's good too. Just listen to Luther Vandross. Here is what he was all on about. But let's be honest, if he can't spot it, then perhaps he doesn't. What do I know? I'll do Louis. Is it Louis?
Howdy, Tal.
Hi.
Can you hear me, Al?
I can.
I just want to talk about sciatica.
Okay.
Do you know much about it?
Not a lot. I'm not a doctor, but I believe it's painful.
Well, all I can tell you, it's a swine pain. Very painful. Runs down one side of your body. It's all connected to your buttocks. It goes right down to your foot. And I've been in hell with it, mate. I've been in hospital 17 days in October, 2 years ago. And I've just had another do with it about 6 weeks back. In fact, it got that bad, Al. The doctors put me on morphine.
Right.
And it's just excruciating pain.
And
Can't describe it.
Do they give you anything other than painkillers? Do they give you something that might fix it, or...?
You're on instant pain relief.
Yeah, but
I've had tablets, Al.
But do they?
Sciatica, yeah, there is. But I've had jobs at morning, mate. I just can't get out of bed. I can't. It's took me 9 minutes to get to the toilet. That's how bad it is.
But do they give you any other treatment than painkillers?
Well, not with me. I'll just painkillers, and that day didn't work. That's why I had to go back to him and pour my eyes out to him. He didn't really want to give it me.
No, and when you were in when you were in hospital, what did they do? Just give you painkillers?
Yes, instant painkiller, morphine. But now I've come out of hospital, I've got the same problem again. And I've rung the doctor up and I've just got to, could I put a request in for morphine? And no problem, because he knows there's no option. It kills that, you know what I mean? Morphine is the only thing that will kill it. It's a bastard. Sorry for swearing, Al.
All right.
I'm 68. I think it could happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody. It just runs down the right-hand side, not the left. right down to your feet. Took me 9 minutes to get to the toilet.
Has your doctor given you any advice about the way you move about?
I saw a physiotherapist about 4 weeks back, Allan. Blood of rubbish. He gave me 4 sheets of exercises for to do. I'm 69 now. I can't even get down. He's only a young kid, this fella.
Well,
I know try his best, but
being young doesn't make you wrong.
I know.
If he's an NHS therapist, then he will have all the qualifications. I was just wondering if there was anything other than just taking painkillers.
Well, the real cure, Alex, to get out of sciatica is exercise. But when you get a really bad dose of it, Al, you can't get down on any position for bloody well do the exercises. You understand me? Hence the morphine. I've gone through 2 bottles with it.
But then that's just a painkiller. Ideally, you want rid of the sciatica. And I'm just wondering whether they've offered you anything that might diminish the sciatica itself rather than just treat the pain that you're enduring.
Well, it's not come any better, Al, but it's finally come to this. It's very morphine.
Indeed, but you tell me that they're telling you some exercises that you need to do, and you're just saying, I can't do them.
But Al, my body won't let me go down to the position I've got to get down into because I'll bloody collapse.
Well, if you can't get down to that position, get down as far as you can and do the exercises.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do, Al. But it's been bloody hard. And this guy's never come back to me, so...
Well, it is hard. Of course it's hard. It's not going to be easy, else you'd do it all the time. But if it has a chance of making your sciatica better...
Yeah, I'm going to try a bit of barking tomorrow. I'm going to try a bit of barking down at Lee's Little Canal. Just take my time, up to Paddington Flash. Just an easy stroll, and so I go from there.
Okay.
Can't do no harm.
Well, if you've been given an exercise program that includes cycling, then fine. But
I know.
If they've given you an exercise program, then that's probably the best thing to do. The exercise program instead of deciding what you're going to do. But it's up to you. It's your pain.
I've got to conquer the bastard. It's ruined my life for the past 3 years. It's ruined it. I can't source life. I can't go anywhere.
You're not going to conquer it not doing the exercise, that's for sure.
Right. I'm sick of staying in bed. All right, Al. Nice talk to you on the road.
And you. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. Quick shufty tomorrow morning's newspapers. The Sundays are always cracking, aren't they? If nothing else, they're ever. Battle of the Bill. Yeah, I know. FM hopefuls go head-to-head on gender reform. I don't even know what that means, FM. And then, this will please at least one person, the Daily Star, the Sunday version of it. Can't get to work today, Chief, as I've been abducted by aliens. Again. It's a good excuse if it works. But then to more serious newspapers rather than just stupid comics. The Independent, the sick children left to suffer as the wait for care on the NHS soars. More than 350,000 in need of urgent operations. A girl of 6 has had her brain surgery cancelled because of staff shortages. And doctors warn adults being prioritised over youngsters. I don't quite get that. Doctors warn... Oh, they've missed out the word that, I guess. Doctors are warning that adults are being prioritised over youngsters. Don't understand. There you are. There may be a reason for that. Not just the fact that youngsters don't vote and adults do. I'll do Bernie.
Oh, good evening, Alan. I'm just ringing to empathise with the gentleman who's just been on. I'm in hospital right now in Liverpool Royal with sciatica. That's probably the least of my problems right now. But it's probably the worst pain in the world. And I've spoken to various nurses here. One nurse from the Philippines said, it's 30 times worse than having a baby. I said, well, I can't really concur with you. I haven't gone through that. But I can give them a few little hints on what to do. You probably won't be able to do the exercises, the same ones I've got, unless he can get down to a certain level. I don't know. There are some levels where you do it on your back. But I found before I went to hospital, wrapping hot water bottles, and I've got 2 or 3 of them round the affected area, very, very helpful. And then putting possibly an ice pack on the buttock. I think that actually, whether it actually takes the pain away or just diverts it, I really don't know. But I do know that
cold reduces inflammation generally, and inflammation is part of the cause of pain, I understand. So, yeah.
I believe so, yeah. But it's, it is a particularly debilitating thing. But that's one way. There are so many different ways. I've spoken to witch doctors and all sorts of people about it. They said this is one pain you're not going to defeat it. It's going to go when it goes. And they said you're just going to have to live with it. I'm sorry that I can't give them any more comfort, but I think that's a pretty good. There is one medicine that works. Am I allowed to mention this?
Probably not, but his doctor will know it.
Well, everyone knows it. It's a brand. It's a brand name. It begins with VOL. I think there's a T in there at the beginning, but I find rubbing that all over the leg to be extremely helpful. But that's a pain that actually goes from the buttock down to the.
Is the pain actually in the leg, or is it referred to the leg because it's a back pain?
That's a good question. I've spoken to specialists here, and they say it's a mystery. There is no cure for it. He said just live with it. And so, I must say my mind's going now a little bit. I'm walking on a stick. Just the fact that I'm walking is incredible. I'm trying to do exercise. I've been told I have to walk 200 yards a day if possible. But I think that you could try a few things. Trouble with that particular medicine, it's rather expensive. Yeah.
And if it's proprietary, the way you describe it, it seems as if it's just another painkiller.
Yeah, a friend of mine who's a chemist, he said to me, he recommended that. He said, and he gave me a list of ones not to bother. He said, they're very expensive and they don't work. He said, that's the one that will give you either temporary or full relief from pain. So I don't know.
It'll only be temporary, won't it? It's not if it's something other than temporary, then it's permanent, and that's a cure.
Yeah, and the other one is just keep on massaging your leg by hand if you've got strength in your hands. But I really feel sorry for him. But that's all I wanted to say, Alan.
Anyway, thank you very much, Bernie. I hope it proves useful to him. 0800 218 2255. It's all to do with the sciatic nerve. It can be all sorts of things, but generally it's the nerve. It can get trapped. And one of the reasons it get trapped is some people, we're human beings, we're all different and all our bits are different, but the vertebrae, you can have I think the name they would use is spur. You could have a spur on your vertebrae and that could compress the sciatic nerve, and that can be a cause. There's all sorts of different causes, but the outcome's the same, and that is, as you've heard already, a bloody awful pain. 0800 218 2255 to join us. I'll do Linda.
Oh, hello, Alan.
Hello, Linda.
I'm just asking you, and I know you can talk about anything, but I've started getting hearing problems. I'm saying to people, sorry, what? I can't hear the telly. And it's getting embarrassing, really. And I've rang the doctor, and they're going to make me a telephone call. I think it's the 22nd or whatever. But I'm just finding it embarrassing. I've got that tinnitus as well. So I'm just like,
Have you ever had your hearing tested?
No.
You can get it tested. It depends on your age, but you can get it tested often free. Are you entitled to free prescriptions?
Okay. Yeah. I did go to Specsavers because they do glasses and hearing, and they said you need to speak to your doctor. So I'm just waiting from that, really.
Right. Okay.
Because apparently he's got to refer me to
them.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm going. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going, sorry. You know.
Well, yes, I mean, as one ages, one's hearing capacity diminishes anyway. That's a normal effect of aging. You know, that's what happens.
I know, but it's frightening, really, though. My mum had hearing. My mum had hearing aids, and you know, she used to say, "Sorry, what?" You know, and nod her head and everything like that. But so it's just an age thing, is it?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not a doctor, and even if I was,
I know, but.
And even if I was, I wouldn't be able to say over the radio what's causing it. There could be a variety of causes. However, the first thing is to get it checked. Yeah. And the doctor, when you finally get in front of somebody, will get that little thing he pokes in your ear and looks down and see if there's anything there, and they will deal with it. We had a patient. I mean, I was a psychiatric nurse, so we didn't do things like that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But we had a patient, and when the doctor looked down there, the psychiatrist, because they're doctors too, and he said, "Well, I'll give him the once-over," and he looked down, and he had little bugs living in his ear. It was quite fascinating. And he'd been living on the street, so he'd obviously got some strange infection, which we treated, or the doctors treated, and his hearing returned. But he wasn't an old person. He was a young person living an awful life at the time. But what I say, if you get it checked, I mean, it could be all sorts. It could be an increase of wax, all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
But don't do anything about it. See the quack.
Right. Okay. This has only happened about the past 6 months, but it's getting worrying because I can't hear the TV, and I'm turning it up to it used to be on say 25. Now I'm turning it up to 70.
Well, I work in radio, and in the past, I've been doing it 40 years, and people used to come into the studio after me and say, "Have you unplugged the earphones, the cans as we call them?" And I said, "No." And they said, "I can't hear anything," because my hearing was so good that I could have it at a very low volume. But I have to have it higher now. And I find it harder to distinguish. I mean, I used to be a radio operator years ago, and I was able to. You would have 7 or 8 signals, Morse signals, going at the same time in your ear, and you could pick out the one that you had to listen to, and ignore the other 6. You couldn't do that now.
Yeah,
you know, so
I'm finding. Yeah. Sorry, Alan. Sorry.
Okay. It's just your hearing deteriorates. So I said earlier, we were designed to be dead by 50. So after 50, things are worn out, you know?
I know. I'm finding now that we went out for a meal the other night, you know, Valentine's and everything like that. And I can hear people from the background more than my husband who was sat next to me. So
Are you sure that's not selective?
Well,
My wife can hear everybody but anything I say.
Hey, Alan, especially when it came to the bill. How much? How much? Really? So anyway, yeah. Anyway, I've got an appointment with the doctor. He's going to do me a face.
Right, well, he'll talk to you, and then if the doctor, I'm saying he, it may be a she, but if the doctor thinks it warrants further examination, they'll call you in for that, and, you know.
Do you think I'm going to need hearing aids, or...?
I've no way of knowing, I'm not, you know, that's... I mean, it's possible, but it's possible that it's something... It's possible that a beetle has crawled in your ear and it's just gone to sleep. It could be anything, or wax, or what have you. You did ask. Well, it could be anything. It is likely to be. It is likely to be the reduction in your hearing capacity with age, because that's what happens.
Yeah, I think that, Alan. To be perfectly honest.
But let's wait and see what the doctor says.
Oh, okay, thank you, Alan. Thank you. I'll speak to you.
Ta-da now. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Carton. Hello, Carton. I'll do Ian. Now do Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hello.
What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I phoned earlier about dogs and people being trained to how to use a dog. I think the bloke who came on later and said should be trained like driving a car or owning a gun. Yeah, you're quite right. Dogs can be nasty, but they also can be very good. But the thing I was going on about now is these men who are phoning up talking about sciatica. I've suffered from sciatica. What you do is do back exercises and you get yourself out of bed and you walk. And they're going on about pain. What are they talking about pain for? Do you need morphine for sciatica? No. You need morphine if you're dying from cancer or something horrible disease.
Well, that's your version of it. I understand your version, but I find it invidious to accept advice from somebody on the radio when there's a doctor saying yes, you need morphine. The doctor's likely to know better than you.
Morphine for sciatica.
Well, doctors aren't handing it out because they've got nothing else to do with it.
It's a
Ian, if
from your back.
Ian, if you're telling me that you know better than doctors, then fine, you're entitled to say that, and I'll just sit here thinking the man's an idiot. Good night. I'll do Jimmy.
Hi, Pete.
Well, whoever he is, but hello anyway.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I've had an experience this week myself of absolute chronic sciatica.
Right.
And for 4 weeks I tried to get an appointment, at the GPs. And then on Wednesday, my back went that bad that it pushed my blood pressure that high that I was taken to hospital by ambulance. And when I got to Fazakerley Hospital, that's what they were administering, morphine. And they kept me there for 2 nights. But the issue I've had, this is the 4th time I've been taken in, to hospital with this condition. And even though I've got 2 discs that have prolapsed laterally, and they still just keep saying the same thing at this moment in time. They cannot treat me, so I've come home again on more medication, this time a higher dose of morphine and suppositories, but I come home the way I went in. Although they control my blood pressure, etc., again, I feel like each time I go into the hospital, I'm just sent back out with the same issue.
So when they say we can't do anything about it right now, do they give you a reason?
Well, it's interesting, this, because when I was in a position with some sort of insurance, they would treat me in a matter of a week or two. The past 5 years, I haven't been able to afford to keep that up, and in general, my health isn't good at all. I've got like chronic arthritis right throughout. I've had both my kneecaps removed, discs out my neck, now it's coming me back. But what I've found is, if you're not able to pay for any of this treatment, I just feel like you're dismissed. Although I can't put them down for the treatment I've had off the nurses and the ambulance.
Just so we established, Jimmy, the National Health Service doesn't charge. Presumably you had your treatment privately.
Yeah, not all of it. But what I'm saying is...
Well, the bit that you paid, the bit that you had where
that's
that
right,
your insurance paid, well, that was privately.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
the
the
NHS doesn't charge. Whether you're rich or poor, the NHS deals with it.
No. Yeah. What I'm saying is, I feel that if I was in a position to pay and go and see a neurosurgeon private, that they would then set that treatment up where they need 2 discs out me back. But obviously, with the backlogs, etc.
So I asked you a question a little while ago, and you gave me a very long answer that didn't cover it. So I'll ask again.
Yeah.
Did they tell you? Did they tell you? You said they said we can't do anything at the moment.
Yeah.
Did they tell you why?
They just said we're not prepared to treat it at the moment. And when
Did they tell
you're
you
in
why?
hospital,
Did they tell you why?
I asked why, and they said that until the disc actually touches the nerve that affects your bowel, which if it collapses on it, which, you know, all the time when you're in this type of pain, you think it's going to collapse. It happened to my own mother where the disc did collapse.
Let's get back to the reasons rather than going off into tangent again.
Yeah.
So they're saying we don't want to do anything about it now because we don't think it is severe enough to warrant surgery.
In a roundabout way, yeah. But I argue the point that, again, when I was in this degree of pain with me neck and I went privately, they did that operation. That was through an insurance, it wasn't me paying.
The good thing about private medicine is whatever you want, they'll do it because they want the money.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Pete. I agree with you, yeah. I don't know why I keep calling you Pete.
Neither do I, but I don't care. It doesn't matter much. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Anyway, good on you, Jim. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah. My point was that each time you go in, you're sent out the way you are going in. They can give you morphine, bring your blood pressure down, ease your pain. But the minute you're out of the hospital, I was only sent home 2 days ago, and I'm still in bad pain. So I feel the NHS is under massive pressure, and I understand that, but I just feel like you don't get the treatment what you might have got pre-COVID.
Okay.
I don't know what you think of that.
I have no experience of the National Health Service in that circumstance, so I don't think of it at all. That's your view.
Yeah. But, you know, the man who spoke to you before and said morphine, you don't need morphine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I disagree with that.
Yeah, it's easy to disagree with an idiot, isn't it?
Well, I don't know the person.
Neither do I, but all the clues are there, aren't they?
Yeah. But thanks anyway for listening. But
my pleasure, Jimmy.
Yeah, all right then. Good night.
Have a good night, mate. 0800 218 2255. How do Jean?
Hello, Allan.
Hello, Jean.
I'm just ringing about sciatica. I suffer with sciatica, and I try and do as much walking as I can. I have crutches, and it is very painful, but I also find a TENS machine very, very helpful. You can buy one at any chemist, and I find it very helpful.
Yeah, I've no idea how they work. It's an electronic pad-like thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you just put batteries in the little thing, and then it's like these sticky patches that you put on like your buttocks where the sciatica is, and then the wires you plug it in, like you do with earphones on your like you listen to your CDs, and you plug it into the little thing, and then it has a level that you can turn to what strength you want it, and it's like pins and needles that's going in, and I find that very, very helpful. Plus hot and cold, hot water bottle, and then afterwards ice pack, and I find them very, very helpful. But I try and do as much exercise as possible.
And is that recommended? Is that what the doctors have said to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the physio that I used to go to, he used to use the TENS machine on me, and through him, I bought a TENS machine myself. They're not really, really expensive, Allan. You can pay £20-30, but if it does the pain good, it's well worth every penny. Like I say, you can buy them at any chemist or online.
Yeah, you can buy them all over the place.
Yes, you can, yeah.
22 quid's the lowest price one I've just seen, and 849 quid's the dearest. But that probably makes your tea and your supper as well.
Well, I wish it did.
Well, Jean, thank you for your experience. Have a good night. And if you're wondering what TENS stands for, I'm not showing off, I'm reading it, right? I've just looked up TENS. I've heard of them, and I've seen them in use. It's transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. And transcutaneous just means it's on the outside, it's on your skin. The cutaneous is your skin. Yeah, close enough. 0800 218 2255 to join us. We're here until 1 o'clock in the morning. That is not that far away now, it's about 50 minutes. But you've still got time if you do want to join us. Front pages again, The Observer. Johnson, that's Boris of course, threatens Sunak's bid to end the deadlock over Brexit, and food banks are at breaking point as the demand hits a new high. I mean, what kind of a country has food banks? No, let's rephrase that. What kind of a country needs food banks? Dear God. The Sunday Times, TV station shut as Iran's killers target UK staff. Tavistock children still referred for blockers. Johnson nuisance on Brexit deal. And there's an article entitled Charlie and the Censorship Factory. I don't know what that is. I'll have to get... What paper was it? Sunday Times, right, I'll get that tomorrow, I want to read that. Sunday Telegraph, Johnson's warning to Sunak on the Northern Ireland deal. That's going to blow up in their face. I mean that in the proverbial sense rather than the actual, but that's going to cause a lot of bother into it. Oh, we've sorted it. And then, hey, no you haven't. Refugee charities as bad as smugglers, according to one front page article, and the Prime Minister faces a tax rebellion. Sunday Mirror. Cops' sick messages betrayed Harvey and me, and it's not often you have a newspaper that hasn't got Katie Price in it. And then forces too broken to defend the UK, and that's the military. General warns Chancellor the MOD urgently needs £3 billion to be fighting fit. I find it extraordinary that our nation can afford to send billions and billions of pounds worth of equipment to Ukraine when we've been sucking resources out of our military for quite some time, and then they say we can't afford to give nurses a pay rise. Well, it's not we can't afford to, it's we choose not to. We want to use the money for something else. And the Mail on Sunday front page, Andrew fears he will lose his £30 million home. The embattled Duke of York confides to friends that he may have to move if Charles slashes his annual grant. What a shame. It's hard to be sympathetic when very, very rich people aren't comfortable. How do Michael?
Hello.
Hello.
I'd like to speak to you about your radio program.
Okay.
I think it's very good what you do, and it's very good that you give people a place to speak. I think you are fantastic. I think it's nice to hear live radio. And as you say, the people in Syria have been let down by UK government. They have forces there and they cannot help people. There are 35,000 people, according to the news, that have died. I think it's just not nice. But I thank you for listening to me, and I thank you for your radio program.
Well, don't thank me for the programme. It's the BBC that provides the programme. I'm just the gob on the stick. And there's a whole team of us tonight, of course. We've got Talat, Marlon, Luke and Jane. So there's a team of us. It's not just me, but thank you anyway. How do Malcolm?
Hi, Allan. Allan, you know the hospital mentioned before, Fazakerley. Well, some years ago, me and a friend was sat outside. There was a door left open, so we went in there to shelter. We were quite shocked at what we'd seen. There was people's files and sides on the floor. And I said, we best leave here. Why that door was left open? It's just so, I don't know what your opinion is on that. I found that very, it was people's files, Allan.
I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I mean, why was that door open and how, and all this information? I said to my friend, we best leave here. But the door was open. It's some years ago, Al. But it's just, how security can be so... It's always stuck in my mind, Yeah, very, very, very scary. On the other hand, Allan, I think, with everything happening in the world and all the troubles that we're having with this and that, the cost of living, people finding it hard to survive on what little they've got, and people are sending off their weapons like Korea and places, and I'm not really thinking about the cost of this. I don't know what your view on that is, Allan.
No, I don't really have one. It's always disconcerting when people are getting killed by weapons in war.
Yeah.
Ghastly. There's never been a good war.
No, there's no winners or losers, is the Allan, anymore. I
think everybody involved's the loser.
Yeah. You're doing a great show, Allan. I listen to your show. It's absolutely fantastic to listen to all the people. Thanks, Allan. Thanks, mate.
My pleasure. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255 to join us. It's getting on for 20 past midnight. Well, make me a lie for 2 minutes. 18 minutes past midnight. So you've got over 30 over 35 minutes to take part. I can't do mental arithmetic. I don't know why I started that sentence. It was stupid of me. 0800 218 2255 to join us. We're here till 1, and as I was saying, there's plenty of time left if you want to have a go. I love this song. I absolutely love it. It's the Rolling Stones' Little Red Rooster. Listen to the guitar work in this. It's a guitar, and started playing it. I felt cheated. I did. I thought, that's not your job. We've got enough guitars here, you know. You just do your job, which is the dancing about, warbling, and the rest of it. Very strange. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Ian.
Hi, mate. Before you cut me off, I'd just like to thank you for talking to me and listening to my things. I was talking about dogs and sciatica, and I really appreciate you. It's you're a decent bloke, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone, or, I enjoy your programme. It's a good humour. There's serious things going on, and the world is all mad, isn't it, this day and age, especially. All right, cheers, mate.
Okay, well, good to hear from you. I never expect an apology for anything, because I don't give many. I'll do Andy. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes. I just wanted to come today and talk about what do you think about immigrants?
I don't. What do you think?
You know what, mate? I don't really like them, because all they do is come over, they try and get on young girls, and they just take all of our jobs.
Andy, you're daft. Good night. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, feel free. Immigrants are like the people who were born and bred here. There's good uns, there's bad uns, there's rotten uns, there's crackers. They're just like everybody else. They just happen to have moved to a different country, like all those people from Britain who've moved elsewhere. You know, that's what happens. People move. Whether those nations want them to move, whether it's good for the nation or not, that's for others to decide. But we can't condemn a whole group of people just because they've done something, one thing, that we disapprove of. It's just ludicrous. Utterly stupid. Andy, go and get your bumps felt. It's certainly needed. And, by the way, Andy, this may disturb you, but you're almost certainly the descendant of an immigrant. Most of the people in countries are, because the borders change all over the place. 0800 218 2255 to join us. Let's hear Marvin Gaye, who's also heard it, but he heard it through the grapevine, which is, he wasn't sat in a vineyard listening. It's all right. I like a bit of music every now and then. Not too much, it can wear me out. I'll do Jessica.
Hello, I wonder if it's occurred to you, last caller, that Anglo-Saxons were immigrants from southern part of Germany.
Indeed so. We had a history teacher who told us that the original English are now Welsh.
Yeah.
Because they were driven up into the mountains by the Anglo-Saxons and other invaders.
Well, I just wanted to tell you a quote from Frank Muir.
Oh,
immigration is the sincerest form of flattery. Okay.
But then he was a fruit and nutcase.
Yeah, mind you, I'm an immigrant too. You know, my parents come from Nazi Germany, because my mother was Jewish and my dad was German, so I'm an immigrant myself.
Well, there you are then.
Yep.
Welcome, Jessica.
Which probably answers a lot of questions.
Maybe so. But good to talk to you always. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, that's good. I had to drop somebody off at Piccadilly Station on, when was it? Wednesday, I think. And, or was it Thursday? It doesn't matter when it was, basically. Shut up. At Piccadilly Station in Manchester. And because I don't go to Manchester very much these days, or indeed any other city, apart from Bangor, where I was recognising a street in Bangor the other day. You know, I used to get it in Manchester and around the northwest. Bloody Bangor in Wales. Just walking along, minding my own business. Are you on a minute? Hello. And I went, what? Good Lord. Any road up. I went to Piccadilly Station. It's a pig. I'd forgotten. I mean, it's been a pig for years, an absolute pig to get into. You know, when you're dropping somebody off, so you have to go and oh, dear God, it's a mither. And the cars sort of are all zigzagging past one another. It's a real mess. I don't know how they can sort it out with the sort of geographic layout they've got. I don't know whether there's a better way, but it's absolutely terrible. And all I was doing, I had to drive in, get my ticket, and then drop somebody off and then go out again. It didn't even cost anything, because I was only dropping them off. You know, thanks, bye, go on, sling your hook, bad enough for you. And then come out again. So it never cost anything. But it was like 10 minutes of faffing about trying to get out the damn place. I'm just having a moan. They're probably doing the best they can with the gear they've got, but it's troublesome. There must be a better way. It might mean knocking a building or two down, but there must be a better way. It's a mess. Or maybe it's designed like that so you don't go in the car. They expect you to get the bus. But it's a long, long way from where I live to get the bus. The train will have gone by then, and the buses don't go there anyway. I know. 0800 218 2255. Here's Van the Man, the brown-eyed girl. 2255. If you want to join us, feel free. How do Len?
Hello, Allan.
Hello, Len.
If I start coughing, I'm sorry, but I've got a cold at the moment. I was just wondering if you've ever heard of a debilitating pain. It's called the trigeminal neuralgia.
No.
And it's the neuralgic nerve that comes down through my head and then says, well, it's split into three, into the bottom jaw, the middle jaw, then along underneath your nose. And it's such a terrible pain. Once it's starting, you can't control it, you can't even talk with it. And so I've heard people talk about the pain, so I just thought, wonder if you've ever heard of that. I know if you look on the internet, the Americans, I know they're over the top with everything, but they say it's one of the pains it's called suicide pain. So that's all, Allan. Thanks very much for listening to me.
Okay, it's all right. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255 if you want to join us. As I say, I've never heard of that particular nerve, but then I wouldn't. Not really my job. How do Roy?
Hello, Allan. Yeah, it's about this sciatica lifting something I shouldn't have done the wrong way. You know, that's how it originally started. But it went for a few years, and then it came back, and I was going out of the living room into the kitchen, and I just got stuck in the doorway. I couldn't move. I had to wait there until my sons came on. They carried me back in the house and got me on the sofa, and I was there for a fortnight. Never moved. Wouldn't even go to bed.
Blimey.
But I got this guy who he did the job, you know, so I was quite pleased with that. But it took many months. It didn't happen straight away.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many months and many pounds, I don't doubt.
Well,
you'd give your house to get rid of it, wouldn't you?
Well, that's it. It started off at £20 a session, and then it was 22. And I reckoned it up over the time. I think it cost me 500, but it was well spent.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You know, the price isn't what matters. It's does it work? Good on you, Roy. Yeah. I'm glad you're better anyway. Thank you very much. How do Gary? Hello, Gary.
Oh, I was just turning my telly down so I didn't interfere.
Excellent.
I told the person I spoke to you slightly for this. It was a record request or a song request. You can start you slightly now if you want.
Sorry?
I don't know. I ain't got a topic to talk about. Just like the record request.
Oh well, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, that's what I told him.
Right. Well, that doesn't seem to be progressing any further. How do Alec?
Is it Alec?
Yes, if you're Alec, yes.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing awfully well, thank you.
Cheers, Alan. Yeah, you forgot me, haven't you?
It's hard to know whether I've forgotten you. I would first of all have to know that I knew you.
Okay then. I want to talk about insurance, house insurance, right?
Okay.
And there's a bit myth really that I put in a claim, and I was looking through my own insurance policy, and I started like from the top and I worked my way down, and it said like in the case of war, say like you got hit by a missile, your house wasn't covered, and all that, and yeah, fair enough. But just imagine, and then mind started thinking to them people in Ukraine, like you know, who sort of like left for their own safety, and then you know, say they got their house blasted and there's no cover. I didn't realise that if there's a war or civil war, you don't get any cover on your insurance.
No, you don't.
So that the chances of us having one isn't much, but maybe, but not compared to Ukraine. But I don't know, I just thought it was pretty interesting, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's fairly standard for property insurance in this country, that they don't cough up for, I think the expression they use on the policies is force majeure. It basically means war, yeah.
Sorry, Al, will you repeat that?
I think it's a French expression, force majeure, M-A-J, sorry, E-U-R, force majeure, is what they used to say.
Isn't it like, you know, read up about everything? Especially if you're in the Ukraine at the moment. It must be awful, mustn't it? I mean,
ghastly, yeah.
Yeah, it's ghastly. A great word, yeah. Cover it any better. Anyway, and on the next topic, when's Mike Sweeney going to be performing again?
I have no idea.
Oh, all right. You're a sweet man. Keep on rocking in the free world, Al, and I love you to bits.
Oh dear. Okay, well, thank you for that. I mean, Mike, if you wonder who Mike Sweeney is, because if you're listening away from Manchester, then you may not know, he presents the sort of late morning programme on BBC Radio Manchester, and is still doing so. He's quite possibly been off this week, I don't know. I'm never in the place, but yeah. And he's also in a band. He's a guitarist and singer in a band, so he, you know, a 60s band. It's supposed to be very good. I've not heard of myself, but it's supposed to be very good. So if that was what you meant to know, I don't know about that either. But there you go. 0800 218 2255. It's terrible. You've got the ability to talk, and the ability to sing, and the ability to play guitar. Nobody should be allowed that. Here's Sting. He's probably got all three. This is Spread a Little Happiness, which is what we try to do, but not often. There again, he might not. We got no Sting. Happened the Sting's gone out of it, who knows? Oh, it didn't play. So we press the button and nothing happens. Well, we could play Belinda Carlisle instead. And have a circle in the line there. You cross that line, are we going to hear you? But a circle in the sand? Unless you play marbles, cullies as we used to call them. Yeah, nobody else called them cullies. I've only ever heard them called cullies in Warrington. They have all sorts of names from everywhere else. The only place that call them cullies is Warrington. Anyway, there you are. Well, maybe other places, but I've never heard of it. Nonsense. I'll do Allison.
Hi, Alan. It's Belinda Carlisle who sang that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. I thought you was wondering who sang it.
No, I was wondering what A Circle in the Sand was all about.
Oh, right, okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Was that it? Was that all you wanted to say?
Yeah, I thought you just said about the name of the singer.
No, I have it written down here. It's on my computer, so...
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, thank you anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for your assistance. Hello, how do Gary?
Hello?
Hello.
I have got a topic to talk about. Broken bus stops. People who smash bus stops.
Right.
There was a bus stop outside my flat that was smashed up. Probably about 4 to 5, 6 weeks ago. And it's been smashed up in the last 2 days. And I don't know, are you aware of the bus stops in Salford or in Graham Manchester, what they look like?
Well, they're not all the same, but yes, I'm aware of generally.
Well, you have glass, 2 pieces of glasses put together, 2 pieces of glass, and they have like a join together.
Right.
It's like an oval shape. Looks like a mobile phone. So this one's been smashed outside my flat again. And the thing that joins it together that looks like a mobile phone was just placed on the bench. See, I just wanted to listen to music, because that makes me normal. Or if I had phoned the police and said that, they'd have sent an ambulance.
If you'd phoned the police and said the bus stop was smashed up, they'd have sent an ambulance?
Yeah.
Why?
Because something was placed on the bench to make it seem like something that it wasn't.
And why would they send an ambulance?
But that's what they do. Because if I have any thoughts of anything, so basically I haven't got a voice. Like,
so you call the police and say the bus stop's been smashed up, and they send an ambulance.
No, not necessarily, because when a bus stop's been smashed, it's a physical and fact thing, isn't it?
No, I'm aware it's physical, yeah. If you only smash them in your mind, nobody cares. But you said, I have a problem on this programme, I can only deal with what people say, and you said, if I ring them and say the bus stop's been smashed up, they'll send an ambulance.
No, it was the other bit. It was the other bit about the thing that looked like a mobile phone. Well, if I was to see
they wouldn't send. I don't think they send many ambulances out for mobile phones either, as it happens.
You just being facetious now, aren't you?
No, I'm trying to work out why you're saying things that are utterly incomprehensible.
Well, if I see something happen outside the house,
yes,
and as soon as they know that I'm under the mental health state, they just send an ambulance.
Right. So they're sending the ambulance to you, not to the broken bus shelter.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I answer the door, and they say, "You all right?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I think, well, that was a waste of NHS resources, wasn't it?
Well, it was a waste of NHS resources on the face of it, but if it means that when people are concerned about you, they come and check that you're okay, I would say that that's a very good use of NHS resources. Because if one time you phone up and they don't come and you're hurting yourself or lying on the floor slowly dying, and you'll say, well, where are they? You say, why haven't they sent an ambulance? So it could be a very good use, checking that you're okay.
Yeah, but that's just an assumption that everything you observe, it just doesn't make any sense. That's like saying anyone with mental illness, whatever they observe is irrelevant.
Well, that might be one interpretation of it. I don't know your relationship with your local police force. I'm not aware of that. And as I said at the outset, when you said...
I didn't mean in a personal sense. What I'm saying is I'm generalising it and saying that if that's the way they respond, which otherwise they'd be picking on me, if that's the way they respond, then you're just generalising to everyone who's got a mental health registered with a mental health problem.
Well, I'm not generalising. I'm not generalising. I'm responding to what you said. That's all. That's all I've got. I've got nothing else. Now, when you first started talking, you said when the bus shelter gets smashed up, I called the police, and they send an ambulance, and I was trying to fathom out why that is, and it now turns out that when you phone the police about the smashed up bus shelter,
I didn't phone the police about smashed up because I was given an example of observations and the limitations.
Well, if it's never happened, then Gary, I'm quite happy that it's never happened.
It has happened before.
Oh, so it has happened, and so when I was describing it, you said it hasn't happened. I'm awfully confused, Gary.
Well, no, you're being facetious again.
No, I'm just being confused.
Well, you're being facetious.
If you wish to say that, that's fine. I'm just being confused.
You wouldn't want me to give particular details about situations that I've phoned the police for in the past, and they've sent an ambulance. You wouldn't want to know, Gary, because of your professionalism.
Gary, feel free to decide what I would and wouldn't want to know, but the actuality is that I make that decision. But you're entitled to guess at it as much as you wish.
That's rubbish. That's what, Alan. You're talking rubbish. You're talking rubbish.
That's what I do.
Apart from when you call that woman a stupid bitch.
Get off. Good night. Talking rubbish, me. I'll do Jacqueline.
Oh, Belinda. Good morning. Tongue in cheek, this one. Somebody suggested last week that all dogs should be muzzled. Now, how about all men going out should have their shoelaces tied together and also have a belt around their waist with handcuffs on so they can only raise them so far, so that nobody can be punched in the face and nobody can be kicked. Because I'm quite sure that there's more people suffering violent injuries with mainly men. Women are not immune to this. But, they can't raise their fist high enough to punch somebody in the face and kill them.
Mm.
And their shoelaces tied together so they can't kick the hell out of them.
Right.
Just thought about it, because, this is what men do, isn't it? A lot of men do.
I feel sure that some men do it, yes. Otherwise we wouldn't have the cases that we have.
That's right. I mean, look at those two 15-year-old people stabbing to death of a young girl.
We have to stop. We have to stop you there because they're in custody and have been charged.
We'll do. But I just thought that maybe people should take more responsibility for their actions because they are quite stupid. One punch can kill somebody because they're smashing their head on the pavement. But if they had these handcuffs on, that they couldn't reach that far to belt somebody.
That's true.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Okay,
have a good night. Bye-bye. It takes all sorts of things. Interesting thought. 0800 218 2255. You want to be the last caller, you'll have to be mighty quick. It's dead easy. You just pick up your phone. 0800 218 2255. You're running out of time already. And there, the time's gone. Such is life. There you go. Busy. So the bus stops get vandalised. Rings the police. An ambulance comes. There you go. Here's Ringo. Giving it what for? As he does.
1 o'clock. This is Adam Porset. The first two candidates have announced their campaigns to replace Nicola Sturgeon as SNP leader and Scotland's First Minister. Humza Yousaf and Ash Regan used Sunday newspapers to launch their bids. Nominations close at the end of the week, with a winner due before the end of March. Katrina Renton reports.
Humza Yousaf has served as both Cabinet Secretary for Justice and now Health Secretary. Ash Regan resigned her position as Community Safety Minister in December. She said she wouldn't go ahead with the controversial Gender Recognition Reform Bill, which allows people to change their legally recognised sex more easily. That bill has passed at Holyrood, but been blocked at Westminster. Mr Yousaf has said he wants to proceed with the legislation. The pair are the first to declare since Ms Sturgeon resigned on Wednesday.
The former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has warned Rishi Sunak not to abandon legislation that would give the government powers to scrap the current post-Brexit trading arrangement. The Northern Ireland Protocol Bill is currently on hold in Parliament while the UK and EU try to reach a new agreement. Rishi Sunak has joined Western leaders in calling for military support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia to be ramped up. Speaking at a security summit in Munich, the Prime Minister said the sovereignty of every nation was at stake. At the conference, some countries promised to speed up weapons deliveries and toughen sanctions on Moscow. In his nightly video address, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked them.
There are important statements by world leaders in support of our state, and there are signals about strengthening weapons for our defence. We must do everything to hasten the Russian defeat. The pressure of the world should be such that Russia does not have time to find new forms of terror.
A man's been arrested after a woman in her 70s was fatally attacked in a park in Exeter. The victim was found in Ludwell Valley Park in the Wanford area of the city yesterday afternoon. A man in his 30s was detained in the city centre a few hours later. The BAFTA Film Awards take place tonight, and for the first time the major categories will be announced live on television rather than on a delay. The German-language film All Quiet on the Western Front leads the nominations with 14. Its director Edward Berger says the war in Ukraine seems to have given the film extra resonance with audiences.
I think it does, even though I'd like to hope that the film would have also connected with the audience without it. And of course, we never planned to have it be so horribly relevant because we made the film long before the Ukraine war.
Buckingham Palace has released details of the music that will be played at the coronation of the King and Queen Consort in May. 12 new pieces are being composed, including one by Lord Lloyd Webber. BBC News, it's 3 minutes past 1.